Next up, we'll be talking to Brian Terry, a candidate for Activities Officer. Let's find out some more about the role.
Student Activities Officer supports and develops engagement and inclusivity in extracurricular activities, including societies, media, RAG, volunteering and events. The Student Activities Officer represents 200 plus student groups to the university, lobbying for their interests and making sure that they receive the recognition they deserve.
Brian.
Hello.
You've run on a manifesto of improving nightlife across York. How are you as Activities Officer going to improve it? Do you not think this is a bit beyond your remit?
I don't think so. I think Ollie Martin's done a fantastic job of bringing in nightlife underneath the Activities Officer's sort of wing. He's established that it is actually a topic that the Activities Officer should be talking about. And indeed, I believe that if I was the next Activities Officer, I could definitely push for better improvements within the nightlife culture at York, both in the city and at the university on campus.
So your plan is to push, but who are you going to push?
First of all, I think it's important to have a short-term solution to the recent club closures by having an on-campus UCU club night, potentially on a Saturday or a Friday, whenever is good for students. I think those 2 nights are probably the best, but, I'm open to listening to that. Also, we need to push long-term for a students' union building so that it has the proper facilities. Admittedly, this is just part of a chain, but I'm very eager to be a very strong link within that chain and to push for a students' union building that takes into account the needs of students, be it clubbing or storage space, flat floor space, all of these sort of things that are important for students on campus, no matter what they do.
One high-profile dispute this year that current Activities Officer Ollie Martin has been involved with is with right-wing group Turning Point UK.
Yes.
I know you're on SOC's committee.
Yes.
And so you have a very good knowledge of what the situation is. Would you ratify them?
Last year I ran on a manifesto of free speech, and I sort of have tried to keep points of that across. I know I didn't win, but at the same time I tried to keep core tenets about myself. And so, yes, I do think that Turning Point UK should have been ratified. Indeed, I actually did say yes to ratifying them. I don't agree with their views, but at the same time, I believe that we need to have an open and fair debate, and we should challenge people on views we disagree. So I think shutting them down was the wrong decision. Obviously, the committee decided overall to reject the application, and I stand by the committee's decision, and they did give valid points. But personally, I was from a freedom of speech point of view.
Do you think that that squares with the fact that Turning Point UK are now introducing a UK version of the US's version, Professor Watch List, which in turn could be argued threatens academic freedom of speech itself by scaring academics into adopting views that Turning Point UK agree with?
That's an interesting development. I wasn't actually aware of that. Obviously, it's a multi-faceted situation and everything needs to be taken into account. If they are starting to promote hate speech, then that suddenly becomes a big no-no. But from my understanding, they weren't affiliated with TPUS, and they didn't have the really strong negatives. They weren't engaging in hate activities. If they are starting to lean into that, then yes, that does become an issue. But as it stood at the time, I felt it was okay.
Do you back UC's continued involvement with York parties despite the heavy student criticism of their nights?
No, I don't think so. I think there is an opportunity to relook at the system potentially and to see if it's really serving students. Admittedly, I believe we have a contract with them and we may be locked into that. That's something for me to go away and actually read up on, admittedly. But if there is opportunity for change, I don't think necessarily York parties is serving students well. As you said, there's heavy criticism of them, and I think we need to listen to what students want. And admittedly, it does really seem like students don't like York parties.
How are you personally going to help find more revenue to increase York's relatively modest activities budget?
First of all, let's introduce a regular on-campus club night. At the on-campus nights we already have, we sell drinks, and this generates revenue and generates profit. Having something regular would bring in money. Also, additionally, it's about lobbying the university for more funding. It's about saying, look, student activities are really important. It's what makes university for a lot of people. And as a result, people will pick their university based off of this. It's about having a strong, firm standing on this, that it is important. It's not just about the academics, and we need to make that clear to the university, and we need to push for better funding.
So student activities is something that I personally have been involved with for the entirety of my time at university. And one of the main criticisms of USU's role in student activities is the finance system. In fact, very recently, the college JCRCs and CSAs have come out and published an open letter which heavily criticised the USU finance system. How will you help improve this vital part of managing a society, club or media group?
As I say in my manifesto, we need to push for better back pages systems, not only just the finances, but also how students set up events. We need to really work on this as a priority, I feel. I think USU are sort of being a bit slow on this, and we need to just speed it up. We need to get on with it. Not to the point where we just launch ourselves into a new problem, but at the same time, we need to have some rapidity, because this is causing issues for student activities, and we need to get on with fixing it effectively.
So, in your three main manifesto points published in news yesterday morning, you've not mentioned student media, despite this being the largest block of funding that any sort of single group of societies gets. So, I'm going to ask you a couple of quick-fire questions on student media.
Sure.
What is your stance on I say R because URY and also York Vision, which I'm the editor of, are both media groups. What are your stance on our freedom to publish?
As I said earlier, I'm very in favour of free speech, and indeed, I'm quite eager for you guys to be free to publish effectively what you want, even if it's critical of USU. I do feel that it's important to have that sort of accountability.
Would you be willing to go publicly against the wishes of USU to promote this, student media freedom?
Yes, I would be in the corner of freedom of speech and of a free press.
Okay, one of the most high-profile issues that has come up a couple of times tonight is your fest or your fashions or whatever you want to call it. There have been a number of incidents over the years with anonymous confession pages based on York. There was an initial Your Fest and then they got shut down, and there's currently a lot of pages. Would you ban them?
Well, I don't think as student activities officer I would have the power to ban them. As a result, no, because I can't.
What I mean is, would you basically seek out the individuals running these pages which have been virulently racist, particularly recently with the coronavirus, and would you seek to apply sanctions against them for this?
Again, I reiterate, I don't think the student activities officer would have the power to apply sanctions. I do believe, however, with the issues of hate speech and whatnot, this might be an issue to bring to external authorities.
Okay, which values do you hold that you think make you a good candidate for activities?
I'm energetic, I love having fun, and I'm really open and I'm flexible to new ideas. So you can see this in my manifesto and in my introduction. I've been a part of 15 student groups. I've been on committee for 5 of them, but I've also got an open manifesto. I'm willing to listen to what the other candidates are saying and what students are saying across the campaign trail. And indeed, if I get the position to every student in the union to make it really a union for them, which is how it should be, admittedly. I'm really uneager to go tunnel vision. I want to keep broad opinions. I want to take things on board. And so I put that point in there to just say firmly, I want to listen to students.
That was a big part of your manifesto. You said that you're the best person for the job because you will listen to SOCs, events providers, and nightlife providers. How do you think that your predecessor, if you should get the role, Ollie Martin, has done at listening to student groups?
I think he's definitely listened to the nightlife culture, especially with the events form. I think those have been really good. He's definitely brought students together on this sort of topic, and he's open dialogue. I will say that with smaller groups and indeed Refreshers Fair, he's somewhat dropped the ball. There was a lot of confusion and there wasn't enough advertising, actually. I feel very strongly on that point that people didn't really know what was going on. So as a result, I think that there were those issues with him, and I would like to seek to improve upon that. You can't get everything right, I think, when you're doing the work, so it's no criticism to Ollie. Just merely I would like to improve upon it and to listen better to student groups, especially with those topics.
Thanks for coming in, Brian.
Thank you for interviewing me.
Thank you, Che and Brian. We head back over to Studio Blue for the next candidate for this role, Beth.
Hello, yes,